Hi everyone, welcome back to Susan Dawn's Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new Sacred Union Energy update. First, I want to say thank you so much to everyone for your support this week on the release of my book, Daybreak. This book, I really appreciate it. It was such a happy release. This community is incredible, and I thank each and every one of you who ordered or who shared or who reviewed. Thank you so much for all of that support. And if you'd like to continue to support, you can order it, you can share it and spread the word, or leave a review. I really appreciate everyone. So I want to also take a moment to share that we did a special ascension reading, I guess you could call it, channeling yesterday. It's called Embodiment of the Higher Heart Ascension, and I really encourage all of you to check it out. We had an unexpected Divine Masculine channeling over the weekend. Download that just kept coming through for me that I shared as a written message. It's available on YouTube as a written message, and I recapped it in that reading. And also, as I was channeling for a soul sister, we had some powerful ascension messages coming through for my soul group and soul family, but I extended that to the collective in case it's resonating for you and your soul group and soul families as well. And understand that we're a soul group and soul family here as part of our collective as well. So as you're listening to that reading, that'll make more sense. So take that message as it resonates for you. It feels like it's a very powerful time. It really does. Lots of upgrades are happening. I've been experiencing that within my own gifts, within my own awareness, within my own understanding of the journey. There's a real sense of integration and anchoring in, a real sense of home within the self. Coming home to oneself. There's a real beautiful authenticity that is starting to come through, and a comfort within that authenticity. What I mean by that is just much more peace and joy and love within that expansion, within the embodiment of your authentic self that's coming through. And I'm seeing that play out in my own life. I've seen that over the past 6 months where it just feels like I've anchored into this version of myself that just feels so true to the core of who I am. And I'm seeing that in my client readings as well. So take that as it resonates for you, of course, but it's a testament to the growth work that you've done. And the growth work, as hard as it might be, it is worth it for this inner transformation. That's the light at the end of this dark tunnel of ascension. That is the ascension itself. And so be very proud of yourself. I was talking with somebody today, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I was talking with somebody today, and I said, if I could go back and approach my connection with what I know now, I would probably approach it very differently. But I can also feel gratitude because there's no way I would have gotten to this point without going through what it was I experienced. Without even within that ignorance of not knowing what I know now. Because of that ignorance, I had to go through experiences, and that experience has led me here. And so I do feel extremely grateful for those lessons and for those experiences, as difficult as it was. And so I don't hold regret, because regret is just, it doesn't make sense to me in that regard, because you don't know what you don't know. And it's only in looking back that you can recognize in wisdom what you've learned. And that's where, from this present moment, you carry that forward and you apply that in new ways, in healthy, conscious relationships now, in your other dynamics, in your life, in yourself. You apply what you've learned in that wisdom from those experiences now going forward. You make those changes and you make those choices through that point of reference, through that superpower, which is your awareness now. And so you can look back and you can say, I wish that I knew then what I know now, because then maybe it would have been easier. Maybe I would have understood more. Maybe I wouldn't have done this or that or that. But that's where you have compassion and self-forgiveness. And that's where you have compassion and forgiveness for the other person, the other party as well, because the same thing, you don't know what you don't know. And as long as you're always willing to grow forward, is what I'm hearing. As long as you're always willing to grow forward and learn and allow for that growth and that change within yourself and not be in resistance to that, then there's always new opportunities that are creating itself. So I also want to say, I had an interesting experience. You've heard me share a couple of personal experiences over the past week that have been extremely interesting, including one in which I physically saw my divine counterpart after not seeing him for a year. We live basically down the same street. Not in the same neighborhood, but basically down the same street. There probably were thousands of opportunities where I could have seen him, but I have not had interaction with him. And that was by his choice and also probably by mine. When I say that, because he had blocked me from communicating with me in the way that we had been communicating, but also it felt like a divine protection and a divine intervention, because through that separation period I had grown so much. And I'm not going to go into deep into my story. So many of you guys know that we had lived together for 2 years. We spent the proximity of our connection of our relationship together. He was my absolute best friend. But then there was a lot of heartbreak, there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of triggering, there was a lot that came of toxic energy that kind of came up. And I feel like the separation, the perceived separation, because they're never truly separate, but the physical separation was almost like what I always channel is going to your separate corners. You're still in the ring together, so to speak. You're still in connection with each other, but you're going to your separate corners, because sometimes if you're not doing that growth, or you're not doing that healing, or you're not aware of it, it can be too much to the energy systems, and you just keep perpetuating a cycle of triggering each other. And something has to break that pattern, and sometimes a separation is so that pattern can be broken. And for me, one of the patterns that I had to break was being the one to step forward and repair and fix and wanting to heal. And I'll always want that repair and that reconciliation and that healing and that growth. But that was a pattern where I was always almost like chasing after it. And so I had to allow myself to surrender and let it be whatever it wanted to be. And it just it led to a year of non-communication and no contact. And what was interesting is I had contact from his people in his life who initiated contact to me, but I did not initiate that contact to him. So I could always feel, especially the past several months, that was happening, that something was kind of cooking, something was still kind of happening. I could always feel that we weren't completely done, but my ego wanted it to be done because there was so much pain from his behaviors and stuff like that. What transpired over the past several weeks is I could feel the energy shift within him, and I could feel the energy shift within myself. And any of the pain and the resentment was basically gone. And any of the anger was basically gone. And it came back to just love and peace. And that peace has been a underlying energy for me for the past year. Always coming back to that peace, no matter what I might be purging or experiencing with regards to releasing that old energy. And now I feel like when I saw him, that's what expanded within me, and that's what anchored in. And I go into that in the last Sacred Union Energy update, what that experience was for me. And I don't think it was just for me, I think it was for him as well. So you've heard me also in that last Sacred Union Energy update share that I don't know what to call him. He's my ex, kind of. He's my friend, or was my friend, kind of. He was my counterpart, kind of. He was my catalyst partner, for sure. I don't know what to call him, because as you guys know, we've been channeling. There's a couple of different paths that are opening up for my collective. I've actually seen this confirmed in other readers that whose collectives I'm not part of, but it's actually happening within the greater collective as well. There's a number of different paths that are opening up. And for some, and you guys have confirmed for me, you've emailed me and shared this, that you don't know what to call the person that you were activated with. I've had 2 people in the last maybe 48 hours email me sharing that these readings are resonant, because you're just in this place of you don't know what to call them, but you just have a lot of love for them and appreciation for them, and are recognizing the journey as more than the relationship. And I have always channeled for more than the relationship, and I feel like that's really important in this community to understand. That's why I've always refrained from calling it twin flames. I always refer to it as divine counterparts or sacred partners, because I think that there is a stigma attached to that twin flame label. However, That is basically essentially what it is. It is a twin flame connection, or it can be a twin flame connection, or high level soulmate connection. Take it as it will resonate for you. I always say, do not affix to the labels. The label does not matter. It does not matter. It's what you feel within you. The labels help us to define and understand what the connection might be as far as guidance. But the label itself is not something to get attached to, because that's when we get down into the rabbit hole of, no, this is my twin, so I have to be with that person, or this is my twin, so this has to happen. That's when we get almost like off track of what this journey actually means. This is a sacred union path of ascension. It's just one path of ascension. And it's a path that you were activated on. You were activated with another person. But it's showing you yourself. And yes, you're doing this in context with another person. And the two of you coming together in that sacred union expands that sense of home within you, and extends that sense of home within the world. And home is that energy of love and joy and peace and understanding and compassion. But it's not solely for the relationship aspect. That's a very 3D way of looking at it. It's for more. It's for the energy of it. And I don't want to go deep into that, but a lot of my teachings and channelings over the past 6 years have been about that. And that's been consistent, because that's been what has been consistently channeled to me. The journey to union, or the journey of union, whatever ascension relationship energy update I called it, I'll put a description box in. I'll put a link in the description box. We go a little bit more deeper into what the journey actually is, especially for those who are new to maybe my sharings and channelings and this channel. You can also check out the Twin Flame Truths playlist. I have a full recorded workshop available on my website, but I have excerpts of that workshop for free here on the channel as a resource for you guys as well, if you want to understand a little bit more about my channelings. When I say that, I mean like what's been brought forth through me. Now, you might resonate with it differently, and that's completely fine. And if you do resonate differently, then you can disregard this. You have to trust your truth. This is my truth. This is what I've brought forth, or what has been brought forth through me, and what I've experienced. So it might resonate with you and your truth in a different way, and that's perfectly okay. And you might come back to this. There might be some snippets of that you take away from this that does resonate with you. Your journey is yours. Spirituality is a personal pursuit. Spirituality should be personal to you. Your truth is your truth. Honor that, and always use your discernment. So you've heard me say that I don't know what to call my counterpart, and many of you, or a couple of you, have in the past 24 hours or 48 hours emailed me saying, I don't know what to call my counterpart either. I'm really resonating with this, but I feel the sense of peace within myself, and I feel like I had gone through so many dark nights of the soul, and it brought me home. This journey has brought me home to myself, and I can see the growth that has happened within myself, and that's a testament. That growth is a testament to you. That growth is a testament to you putting forth the effort to allow yourself to grow and allow yourself to change and to surrender to that change. And yes, many of us have the connection as a dangling carrot to kind of push us, but there comes a turning point in our journey, and for me it was the journey's end, and we channeled that over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, I think 2 years ago. For me it was journey's end, where there was a phase of the connection that ends and a new phase begins. And so that's what I call the higher heart ascension. The triggered, you're still triggered, but you're not going through the activations. You're just in a different part of your journey. I'm just going to leave it at that. You're just in a different way of looking at your journey, a higher way of looking at your journey, a different perspective, a different understanding. And it's a very embodied energy. It's a very anchored in and integrated energy, versus where you might have experienced the journey at the beginning, where there was so much confusion, there was so much, you didn't understand the journey, maybe you didn't understand each other. It's just a very different way of experiencing the journey now, and it's more embodied. But that doesn't mean that the journey doesn't exist. It's just a different way. And I've been channeling that the sacred unions are here, and it's coming in. It might not look like the way that you expect it, or the way that you thought it would in the beginning of your journey. It might not be what you thought it was in the beginning of your journey, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that it's not real. And for me, myself, in my ego, because there was so much confusion and heartbreak and misunderstanding, especially within my connection, and it made me doubt myself. It made me disbelief for a very long time. But I, because of the job that I do and the channeling that I do, I have no choice but to believe what's coming through. And that's what I've always kind of put my faith in God, in the universe. And so even though the physical world might look completely bonkers, for lack of a better phrase, it might look completely like a freaking circus, and make no logical sense whatsoever to confirmation. It might make no logical sense whatsoever. There's happenings, there's energy that is moving underneath the surface, and that's very, very real. And that's where you have to be in a place of faith and knowing and trusting in your own inner knowing. And that's where I've kind of come back to. So we've said that for some, there's going to be shifts within the connections. For some, you are going to be experiencing your union, and you are, if you're on this path and you feel that inner knowing, and you trust in that gut, you trust in that inner knowing with everything that you've got, releasing the expectation, maybe even releasing the person, but you know that your sacred union is part of your path, partnership with another person, and the mission and the service that extends from that, then you know that there's union coming through. And some of you might be experiencing that with somebody else. There might be a new counterpart that's coming through, especially if the former counterpart or the firmer catalyst or the person that you were activated to your ascension with maybe is choosing not to do the growth work. For some, that counterpart was just a catalyst partner, who was meant to activate you to a higher level so that you can meet that true counterpart. And I don't like true or false, that there's nothing negative about karmic partners. They are here to teach us, and there's a lot of love there as well. Look at it through the lens of love. Look at it through the lens of the soul, where somebody is saying, okay, I will be that karmic partner for you to activate you or to teach you or to show you yourself. So you can learn a lot from karmic partners. So look at it from the soul's perspective rather than from the human perspective. So for some, that was a catalyst partner that is activating you or has activated you to your soul growth, raising your frequency, shifting your perspectives and mindsets and beliefs and just growth. Soul growth is what it is. And you're meeting your true counterpart. For others, you have the counterpart, but for whatever reason, they're just not able to match you where you are, maybe right now, maybe in this lifetime. And so you're having maybe a counterpart come in that's like a high vibrational, high level soulmate. And many of you have shared that with me, that you do have that connection with somebody, that high level soulmate with somebody, and it is just as beautiful. This is not a replacement. This is not somebody who's second best. This is somebody who is your counterpart for all intents and purposes. For others, this is the original counterpart that's going to be coming back in a transformed way that has been matching your soul growth and coming through as a different version of themselves. It's going to be your counterpart, the original counterpart. There is no better or worse path. There's only the path that feels right and true for you. And even, if you have the original counterpart that is coming through or coming back, there might be other connections in the meantime that is meant to teach you or show you more about yourself, that is equally loving and purposeful and, just uplifting, and because it's matching where you are. It's all matching your inner frequency from the inside out. Who you meet, the people in your life are reflections of the energy that you hold within and the energy that you hold about yourself too, because they're reflecting you. So I feel like there's a couple of different paths, and you have to take what resonates for you. And if it does trigger you, if it does instill some kind of fear, then allow yourself the opportunity to look at, okay, why does that instill fear within me? Be radically honest with yourself and say, why does that instill fear within me? Is there still an attachment to a specific outcome or a specific person? There's no shame in wanting what it is that you want, or desiring what it is that you want, or even who it is that you want. There's a song that was playing that I've been hearing for the past 2 years. It has always resonated with me. It's from Great Big World. I don't want to love. I don't want to love some. Yeah, I don't want to love somebody else. I think that's how it is. It's a very emotional song. I'll put the title in the description as a channel song. It's a very emotional song, but it's almost like that's how I've personally felt. It's like I'm open to meeting new people, but I don't want to love somebody else. And that's not to say that I won't, but it's like I don't want to. And that brings me to today. And I know I'm doing like a personal share here, but this is how I've always been guided to do my reading. So you can either fast forward or bear with me at this point. Sorry. So I share through my experiences. That's always how I've lived my life, basically. So today I had a astrology reading with somebody who used to live down the block from my old house, ironically enough. And this is my second reading with her, and she is brilliant. And we know each other. We just can't figure out how. Maybe even like a past life, but she's brilliant. And I'm gonna list her in my resources on my website of really trusted people that I work with. I don't gatekeep anything, and I always like to give credit and give back whenever I can. And I will not recommend anybody that I have not used myself or that I have not connected with myself. And a number of the people that are listed on my links section on my website are former clients of mine, which I think is equally as beautiful. And I appreciate that so much. I love that they've gone on to become powerful healers and readers, and within themselves, within their own businesses. And I could still, to this day, turn to them for support as well. These are my soul family. So I met with her today, and this is the second reading that I've done. The first was about relationships, and what's interesting about that is, so I'm beginning to learn astrology. You guys have always heard me say, I'm not an astrologist, I don't know what I'm talking about. I do know what I'm talking about because I get the intuition, but I don't know what I'm talking about as far as I don't understand the houses or the placements or stuff like that. I just get what I'm given as far as the information I'm given, that I'm downloaded, that I'm given through my channelings. So I'm an intuitive astrologist. I'm not an astrologist. So I'm beginning to take coaching classes where she's actually helping me learn the ins and outs of actual astrology, and then applying my intuition and my psychic gifts to that. So I really appreciate her for that as well. But the first reading that I did with her was a relationship reading, and I went into it with a very clear mind because I just wanted to know what was for me with regards to relationships. I did not have my counterpart on my mind. At that point, I didn't even want my counterpart anywhere near me, anywhere in that vicinity of it. But he kept showing up in the energy. He just kept showing up. And even she didn't know anything about him. She didn't know anything with regards to his personality, but he kept showing up energetically. And so finally I said, okay, we need to do a synastry reading. And we did a synastry reading today, and he's all over my chart. We're all over each other's chart, as that she calls it a soulmate connection. It's absolutely the twin flame connection, the twin flame dynamic. And it blows my mind because it's not necessarily, how do I say this? I was open to so much more, and my ego was afraid to want that with him. My ego was afraid to love him, to keep loving him. And it's divine timing. This has been scheduled for a while now, this reading, but it's divine timing because just a few days ago I actually saw him, and like I shared in the previous reading, that opened me up to recognizing how much I love him, and that it is unconditional love, because I don't need him in my life to love him and to know how much I love him and to know how connected I am to him. you've heard me say I don't know what to call him. He is my twin. He is my counterpart. He might not be my life partner. He might not be my counterpart in that regards. That's going to be a decision. That's going to be a choice for us both, actually, because I'm not accepting the version that was in my life before, because I'm not that same version of that person either. And so it was very humbling, and it was very hard as well, because everything that she was saying and everything that was in the chart, and the chart is not just it's a very deep dive. It was a very beautiful intuitive reading. Everything that she was saying is everything that I've channeled and felt intuitively for the past 6 years, since the beginning of my meeting him. Everything that I have ever intuited about him, understood about him, understood about us, was right there in the chart. And she does not know him from anybody, does not know our history, does not know anything. So it was very eye-opening, and it was very, my ego was just like, I do not like this. I do not like this. I do not want it to be him. But that was just my own fear stemming from my own heartbreak from the experiences that we've shared. I know 100% that there's love. And what do I do with this information? I just have more compassion. That's it. That's all there is. It's just, I recognize that I love him, and I have a lot of compassion for everything that he's experiencing, and his own journey. There's nothing for me to do. Just like when I saw him, there was nothing for me to do. It was just an awareness. It was just, how do I feel? Well, I feel like that's my person and I love him. But there's no action to be taken, at least from me, and at least on my end, at least now. And I feel like going forward, I am still open to meeting new people and having new connections, and that's not going to be a replacement for him. It's not going to be somebody who's going to be second best to him at all. That would not be fair to the other person at all. But I have to acknowledge that my counterpart is there's a very deep bond and soul connection there. I have to acknowledge that. Does not mean that I'm going to be waiting for him. That does not mean that at all. He has his own journey and he has his own choices. And, but I do know that the love is just absolutely there. And the any anger and resentment that I was feeling, there's just forgiveness and love. And that's what it always comes back to with us. And that's the most annoying thing. It's so freaking annoying. But I can't feel anything but love and gratitude for him. I really can't. Does that mean that I accept or excuse any behavior from the past? Absolutely not. And that's where I have my boundaries. That's where I'm like, that's where if there is any chance for future reconciliation, that's what has to change. But there's still love. And so it's interesting. It was showing up in the chart. Like, it was just power couple kind of energy. And that sounds so like egotistical even to say, and I hate to say that, but that's what it was. And I recognized it as the twin flame dynamic and how powerful that is. So when I say power couple, I mean the power that the twin flame energy is. And we've been channeling that for 6 years. And I feel like I can say this in a safe space because I feel like you guys get this. I feel like you guys understand what it is that I'm saying, that inner knowing that you have, that your person is your person. Or if that person, you might know that that person might have been your person or is not your person, and somebody else is coming in who is. You can feel the energy of it. There's something else I want to say. When we're doing these readings, what comes through me is the conscious divine masculine who is working on themselves. There are some readers I'm aware of that focus on the unconscious masculine or the distorted masculine and the distorted feminine or unconscious feminine. What I channel through is the conscious masculine who is working on themselves, who is going through that growth journey, and it's part of a process. And so what we're channeling here might be, if you're resonating with it, yes, it might be the original counterpart, but it might also be a higher, like a different counterpart that is stepping in as your masculine. So the masculine energy is still going to be your masculine. That's where we say don't affix to a person, don't affix to the label. Let it unfold and let it be who it needs to be. For me, I was trying to avoid and deny it being my person, and I've been grappling with that for the past maybe 6 months. I've really been having a hard time with this because there had been so much pain and so much hurt, and I had believed for so long. Like I said, I've been with my counterpart for the past 6 years. 5 years in physical proximity. We lived together for 2 years. I believed for so long because I'm somebody who very deeply trusts themselves. And that trust has been earned. That trust in myself through Lyme disease, through this ascension journey, through my experiences with my counterpart, that trust in myself has been earned. I have been through my own darkness. This is not bullshit, toxic positivity, love and light. This is fucking earned. I have been through hell and back 1,000 times in my life. This is fucking earned. And so I know to trust myself. And even when I go through crises of faith, as we all do, because we're human, even as I doubt myself, as we all do, because we're human, I always come back to trusting my intuition. And I really grappled with that the past 6 months because what was showing itself in the 3D felt so far removed from what I believe. It felt so far removed from what I truly believe about my person, about this journey, and about our feelings towards each other. And when I talk about feelings towards each other, I am not just talking about 3D relationship stuff. I am talking about the soul connection and the soul bond. When I do these channelings, when I do these readings, we are not just talking about, oh, I want to have a family and children and a relationship and dates and stuff like that. That's all surface level. And yes, that's fine. I want that as a human. But these relationships go so far beyond that. All that stuff is just an expression of the depth of your connection and how it plays itself out maybe in your physical reality, but that is not all there is. That's just the surface level. So I've really grappled with this, and seeing that in the synastry chart, just seeing it in like black and white was just, it was affirming to me. It was affirming to me of everything that I felt, and that's why I feel gratitude for having that done, because it just affirmed for me everything that I felt. And what do I do with it? I just use it as a way to appreciate my own intuition, trust in myself, believe in myself in this journey. That's it. It's not for me to take action on. It's not for me to force anything. It's not for me to try to fix anything with him. That's not my role. It is just to use to affirm everything that I believe has been true is true. And wherever that road leads me, wherever that road leads us, I have put my full faith in that surrender to the universe. And I'm just allowing myself to be very present in whatever unfolds and whoever comes into my life, whether that's him or other people. And because even if it's other people, I'm sure that I'm going to learn and have experiences with them that I'm going to learn from and enjoy. And part of having a human experience is having fun and enjoying and learning through joy, especially in the higher heart ascension. You're not learning through the pain anymore. You make the conscious decision not to learn through the pain, but to learn through love and to learn through joy. And I feel like that's where I've been for the past year, learning through joy. And I'm going to meet somebody who is going to be part of that. And I'm excited for that, whether that's him or whether that's somebody else. And I just feel very open and very present. And there's a peace in that presence. There's a peace in not needing to know how it unfolds, because that just creates anxiety. There's a peace in this. There's a peace in building this new foundation. So I apologize for getting emotional. It was a lot to process. It's a lot because my ego is still trying to protect me from that pain, and it's easier for me to deny the connection to protect myself from further pain than to open up my heart and admit that I still feel it with him. It's just easier. But because it's almost like a paradox. It's like, yes, I feel this with him, but I don't know what that means. And I can't affix to anything. And that's where this energy of detachment has come from for me, where it feels like healthy peace and presence in my journey now. And I'm excited for life to unfold in whichever way that does unfold, because I'm so certain in who I am now and anchored into that and embodying that. And I know whatever is meant to be is meant to be, and the universe is supporting that. Um, that's where my trust has been full force in God and in the universe for the past 2 years. And I've learned to trust that and honor that. And I can't help but trust and honor that. So, oh my gosh, look at the bottom of the deck and look at this beautiful card. We have the card of transformation. I think we're going to pull a card or two, but again, this is going to be an unorthodox reading. I am going to do a mini reading and really check in on the energies between the two, but this is, I intended something different. This is what comes out. As soon as I hit record, I start talking, I start channeling. This is channeling too. But look at this card, transformation. And look at the energy of the heart. Look at the energy of the triangles. This is the masculine and feminine energies. And if you look at my logo, we have the feminine and energy and masculine energies in my logo as well, with the triangles there. Because that's what this is. It's the balance of the two. It's the coming together of the two. It's the sacred union of the two, encapsulated, contained within the beautiful vessel of the heart. That's what this journey is. And it's interesting, they just draw me to this battle of the head versus the heart. That's the battle of the masculine and the feminine. And what happens, that's the transformation that takes place with your union, is you learn to bring the two into union. Bring your head and your heart into union. And I feel like especially the masculine is understanding this. That's what we've been channeling for the past several months. This is your higher heart ascension. This is the transformation. And I feel like divine feminines, you might be going through a transformation within yourself where you're just expanding in that love. And a lot of the heartbreak and the pain that you felt and experienced, justifiably feeling heartbreak and confused because of the actions and the confusing nature of this journey. Justifiably. Like, do not let anybody convince you that it's not justified, because it certainly is. What you've experienced has been painful. What you've experienced has been confusing. But a lot of that is releasing, and releasing for good is what they're saying. And so I feel as if there's a huge transformation that's taking place within both counterparts. There's a huge transformation that's taking place within the collective, within the self. And I feel as if there's a greater expansion that's happening. And divine feminines, you can trust yourselves. Whatever path you're on, whichever path, remember, there are different paths that are opening now. You know yourself. I have one client who, they had a catalyst partner and they were convinced that that was their match. They were convinced that that was their counterpart. And something felt off and felt off and felt off. And they, through their own journey, they began to realize that that was a catalyst partner, that they were meant to awaken them, but that wasn't their life partner. That wasn't their true counterpart. And so then they've met their counterpart. And there's a beautiful evolution that's happening for her and for her connection. I've had another client who had a catalyst partner, I'll just call it a catalyst partner, and who has met a high vibrational soulmate and is very happy in that high vibrational soulmate relationship. For others, you have the original counterpart that is growing and transforming. Either you're seeing it, you're seeing the change within them through your contact and communication, or if you're not in contact or not in communication, then you can feel that shifting energetically. You have to trust yourself, and don't compare your journey to anybody else's, especially within this community, especially within the collective. Not one path fits all. It's a personal path. Spirituality itself is a personal path. You have to trust yourself and what it is that you're feeling. There's no blueprint. Especially in this community, and when I say the community, I mean the greater twin flame community. It's been very corrupted. There are people who say, oh, I have the blueprint. Well, no, you don't. You have the blueprint for you that might work for some people, but everybody has their own blueprint. And especially with regards to this collective, you guys are on the leading edge. Like, you are the way showers for creating new templates in healthy connections and conscious connections and soul connections. Like, you're writing the blueprint yourself through your own journey. And there might be mentors, there might be guides along the way. And we value those mentors and we value those guides. I have my own. We value them because they do bring us wisdom and enable us to see ourselves, enable us to see our journey from a different place. But to say that they have the definitive blueprint, that's bullshit. It's bullshit. You have to trust yourself. That's your self-empowerment. You have to trust yourself. And honor that, and honor your path, and trust in where the universe and God is leading you. Trust in that within yourself. That's why I always say, follow your sacred path. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Follow your path, because that's how you get into true authenticity. That's how you get into true alignment. Okay? All right. I thought we were going to do a reading. I apologize. We are not, because that was a lot, and I need to freaking cry it out and process these emotions and just feel. It's beautiful. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really at peace. It's just, I'm feeling a lot of love. And when I get overwhelmed by emotions, I need to cry. And right now I'm feeling a lot of love and I need to cry that out. So I'm going to end this here. But yeah, transformation, divine order, fucking twin flame. Fuck me. Okay, this is it. We're ending this reading. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being part of this sacred space in this community. I appreciate it so very much. I appreciate all of you. And we will come back with an actual Sacred Gene Energy update. We might post it over on the Patreon. Remember, Patreon readings are free this month. So anything I post over there is going to be open and accessible and viewable for all. So I think we're going to come back with a mini reading this weekend just to see what's going on with the actual energies. But this is powerful stuff. It's powerful change. All right, sending lots of love and lots of light to all of you.